I squeeze the folded sheet of paper so tightly my knuckles flash white. It reminds me of something Catherine once told me. The first time she had sex, it wasn't with me. It happened long before we met, in some cramped dorm room with a guy whose name she never bothered to share. She told me that story one night when we were newly engaged, half laughing, half confessing, her fingers trailing across my arm. I didn't ask questions. I wanted to believe the details didn't matter. And for years, I was sure they didn't. But now, standing in my own living room with this damn note in my fist, it feels like the ground under my feet is shifting. A punch of memory. She had a life before me, secrets before me. And apparently, she has them again. The paper is scratched with unfamiliar handwriting. Waiting for you, Tiger. Signed by someone named Sarah. It's not Catherine's handwriting. It's not even her name. But my address is on the box. My home is where it was delivered, and I'm the idiot standing here, unwrapping a gift that's clearly meant for someone else. The box has a silly ribbon taped to it, like a half-hearted attempt at being discreet. Beneath the tissue paper, I find a plastic container that looks like it's meant to hold children's toys. Bright colors, cartoonish stickers. But there's nothing in it except this note, an invitation scrawled in looping letters. As I read it again, my stomach twists into a knot of anger and confusion. My daughter stands in the doorway. She's frozen like a statue, big eyes on me, as if she's waiting for the roof to come crashing down. It hits me with staggering force that she knew about this, or suspected, because that's the kind of face she's making. Guilt, fear, heartbreak. I look at her, my lips parted, but no words come. Finally, I force them out. You knew. My voice sounds rough, foreign. She doesn't say anything at first, then tears creep down her cheeks. All she does is nod. A tiny, trembling movement. My chest tightens. Anger, betrayal, love, shame, everything collides, and it takes all my control to keep from roaring at her, from slamming my fist into the wall. She's my daughter. She doesn't deserve that. But oh God, it hurts. My ribs feel like they're caving in. The silence stretches. I can't bring myself to comfort her, can't touch her shoulders or brush away her tears. Because in this moment, it all feels connected. My wife's hidden life, my daughter's secrets, the note in my hand with the word Tiger. I drop the folded paper on the table and leave it there, like a piece of evidence at a crime scene. She's still crying when I walk past her, heading for the stairs. My jaw is clenched so hard that pain spreads across my temples. I want to scream or punch something or run. My father used to say that when a man's home breaks, so does his spine. I never understood that until this second. There's a physical agony in my lower back, in my arms, a slow-burning fire that makes me feel like I'm falling apart. I head into the bathroom, look at my own face in the mirror. I see a man who used to be so sure of everything. Marriage, fatherhood, finances, just an ordinary American dream. Now that man looks gaunt, savage, eyes rimmed in red. I yank open the medicine cabinet, fumble for painkillers. My hands shake. I swallow them dry, pressing my forehead against the mirror. I see drops of sweat collecting at my hairline, a few strands of gray poking out near my temple. I can almost hear Catherine's voice from years ago. You're so serious all the time, James. Relax a little. I want to laugh. She thought I was the serious one. She was the one with the secrets, apparently. Downstairs, I hear a door open and shut. Could be my daughter leaving, or Catherine returning. My heart pounds. A flurry of images bombards me. Catherine's face, the line of her cheek in bed, her hair fanned out across the pillow. The ache of old desire tangles with a new, raw fury. I'm on the edge of a meltdown. I catch a glimpse of my reflection again. The knot in my gut tells me I need to confront this. Now. So I throw some water on my face, grit my teeth against the pain in my back, and force my body to move. When I get downstairs, the living room is empty, but the front door is ajar. Outside, the sky is coated in gray clouds. I see my daughter's retreating figure at the end of the driveway, shoulders hunched, arms wrapped around herself. She's heading down the street, probably to a friend's house. Anywhere but here, because this place isn't home right now. It's a battleground. I can't blame her for leaving. I sink into the couch. My chest feels tight, like I can't draw a full breath. My phone buzzes. It's Catherine's ringtone. Something about that sound sends a jolt of adrenaline through my veins. I stare at it, but I don't answer. I'm not ready. My mind conjures 1,000 questions. Who the hell is Sarah? Why is there a toy box involved? Why deliver it here? Rubbing my temples, I recall a moment 2 weeks ago. Catherine on her phone, laughing quietly at something on the screen, then slipping it out of sight when I approach. I dismissed it as harmless chatter. I try to think back further. Any sign? Any red flag? Did I see a suspicious text? Hear her talking about Tiger or Sarah? My head throbs, and the memory stays blurry. Finally, I muster enough will to stand. I pace the kitchen, hands restless on the counters, pulling out drawers as if some clue might materialize. The overhead light flickers, giving the room a harsh glow that hurts my eyes. My breath is shallow, trembling with each exhale. That's when I see Catherine's car pulling into the driveway through the window. She steps inside. She's dressed in a tailored coat, high heels that echo on the floor. Her expression wavers between confusion and alarm. She spots the package on the table. Ribbon, note, container, and a flash of panic lights her eyes. Then she sees me, and our gazes lock. "What's going on?" she asks, voice tight. I say nothing at first. Just pick up the note and hand it to her. She reads it, lips parting in shock. Or maybe she's just faking. My pulse throbs in my throat. I slam the empty plastic container on the counter, the noise jolting her. "Who is Sarah?" I demand. Her jaw works soundlessly. "James, I don't know. Don't lie to me." The words roar out of me before I can stop. My chest is pounding with adrenaline. I close my eyes for a second, trying to rein in the impulse to tear the house apart. She tosses the note aside like it's diseased. This is insane. I really don't know who Sarah is. I have no clue why she's calling whoever Tiger. That's not for me. Then why is it sent here, to our house? I fire back, stepping toward her. She draws in a breath, her eyes flicking around as though searching for an escape. I have no idea. She insists, but something about her body language sets my teeth on edge. She's trembling, but not just with fear. I sense something else in her, a buried guilt. Maybe it's a prank, or a mix-up. I clench my fists, nails biting into my palms. "Are you the prank, Catherine?" I'm half mad with suspicion. I lean in, so close I see the reflection of my own fury in her green-brown eyes. The overhead lamp buzzes, casting a flicker over our faces. She doesn't answer. Her phone buzzes in her pocket. She jumps. I gesture sharply. "Answer it." She does. Her hand is shaking so badly she almost drops the device. "Hello," she says, voice subdued. Then she glances at me. "Now's not. No, I'm at home. I can't. I will. Just give me a minute." She hangs up. I cross my arms, ignoring the burning ache in my shoulders. "Who was that?" Her eyes dart away. "Work. Work doesn't call you with that tone." My voice is cold. I can't keep the anger out. She presses her lips together, and I see tears forming, but her posture stays rigid. "You're crossing a line." My breath hitches. A bitter laugh erupts from my throat. A line. Like the one between faithful and unfaithful. That line. She flinches. "Because if you're crossing that line." I didn't. "James, stop." She tries to glare, but her tears start spilling. "You're scaring me." Good, I think for a split second, and then guilt slams into me. This is the mother of my child, the woman I spent so many nights with. I used to know every angle of her face, every curve of her body. I can't breathe right. The edges of my vision grow fuzzy. You have 3 seconds to tell me the truth, I say softly, before I walk out that door and never come back. She stares at me, a swirl of emotions passing over her features. James, I can't. I'm not. Listen, you have to understand. She clamps her mouth shut, biting the inside of her cheek as though forcing herself not to say any more. I echo, feeling rage coil up again. So it's a man. That note was from a woman, but it's for him. For you. Damn it, Catherine. Speak English. It's complicated. She steps back, rubbing her arms to chase away a chill in the room. And it wasn't supposed to come here. He's staying with someone named Sarah. That's all I know. She must have sent something, but it got delivered to me by mistake. I don't know. My lips peel back in a snarl. He's staying with Sarah. That's all you know. So who the hell is he? She shuts her eyes. My friend. A bitter wave of nausea hits me. Friend. Right. Her silence is the only answer I need. I swipe the container off the counter and hurl it across the floor. It skids to a stop near her feet. I see her shoulders shake, tears clinging to her lashes. Something inside me snaps, and all the anger channels into a deadly calm. I turn around, walk away, leaving her there with the box and the note. My body tingles with a savage sense of betrayal, like someone lit a match inside my ribs, and walked away. Upstairs, I drag out a suitcase. Maybe I'll leave. Or maybe I'll pack her things and shove them onto the curb. I don't know. My stomach is in knots. Catherine's footsteps sound behind me. I hear her breath hitch. Don't do this, she whispers. Too late. You can't just. I swing around. Why not? You apparently did. You did whatever this is with him. God. Catherine, I gave you everything. My voice breaks. We have a house, a child, a future, I thought. I rub my chest where the pain flares again. It feels like a hole has been punched through my sternum. She's trembling. It's not that simple. A furious laugh escapes me. Spare me the line about complexity. You slept with another man. That's as simple as it gets. My fists clench, and my back seizes with a spasm, so sharp I have to sit on the edge of the bed. Sweat beads on my forehead. She sees my face contoured. James, please. Are you okay? I wave her off. I'm fine. Don't pretend you care about me now. I breathe through the pain. It's so intense it blots out my vision for a moment, but I grit my teeth and force myself to stand. The adrenaline helps me keep my posture upright. Who is he? She's silent too long. Then she exhales, and it sounds like defeat. Theodore. He's a trainer at a fitness club. I met him at a work event months ago. One thing led to another. I never meant for it to get so far. I see the flicker of regret in her eyes, but I don't care. My mind leaps to the time she came home late, clothes smelling faintly of some exotic cologne, or when she mentioned marketing meetups that never really added up. A black wave of hatred creeps through me. Did you think about me? I ask, voice barely above a whisper. Or about our daughter. Her lip trembles. I did. I hated myself every time. Clearly, you hated it enough to keep going. I spit back. She closes her eyes, tears leaking onto her cheeks. I watch them fall, hating the part of me that still wants to comfort her. I yank my suitcase upright. This is done. Get your things. I pause, my chest convulsing. Hell, just get out. She looks like she wants to protest, but the sight of me, standing there, rage-fueled, physically hurting, makes her flinch. She knows I'm a breath away from losing every scrap of composure. James, she says softly, I do love you. My jaw tightens to the point of pain. I can't even respond. I just point at the door. She nods, tears streaming, and staggers out of our bedroom. Downstairs, I hear her rummaging, maybe grabbing keys, her purse. The door clicks shut a minute later, And then I'm alone, luggage at my feet, anger pulsing in my veins. The quiet of the house bears down on me, so thick and heavy it's suffocating. My body throbs, a monstrous ache that starts in my back and radiates into my stomach. I can't stay here. Not in these four walls with these memories. My phone dings with a text. I don't bother checking it. It's probably her, or maybe my daughter, or maybe no one who matters. I feel empty. My old self flickers in my mind. That serious, dutiful guy who had a plan for everything. Now he's nowhere to be found. I turn off the lights, lock the door, and step into the cold air. The wind slaps my face, chilling the sweat on my skin. I load the suitcase into the trunk of my sedan and climb in. My hands are trembling on the wheel. For a moment, I just sit there, head bowed, fighting the urge to start the engine and ram the car into a tree. I have to keep control. Eventually, I drive. No destination in mind, just putting miles between me and that damned box with the note. I pass by the train station, the grocery store where we used to shop as a family, the pizzeria we liked on Friday nights. All these tiny reminders cut me like shards of glass. My phone rings again. I glance down. My daughter's name. Guilt stabs me. But I can't answer yet. I'm about 2 steps from total meltdown. I end up at a cheap motel on the outskirts of town. The flickering neon sign out front gives it a greasy, hollow look. But it's all I can manage right now. I take a room, drop my suitcase on the bed, slump against the wall. The single lamp in the corner buzzes faintly, casting half of the room in shadow. My body protests every movement with a jolt of pain. I don't remember falling asleep, but at some point I must have, because the next thing I know, sunlight is creeping through the thin curtains, and my phone is buzzing on the nightstand. I flinch awake, disoriented. For a second, I expect Catherine to be next to me, complaining that I forgot to set the coffee machine. Then reality slams back. I pick up the phone. Several missed calls from her, from my daughter, from an unknown number. Probably Theodore. Bile rises in my throat. The new voicemail symbol blinks. I don't check it. My wallet feels too heavy in my pocket, stuffed with credit cards and a family photo behind the plastic window. I take it out, flip to the picture. Catherine, me, and our daughter at Niagara Falls. God, we looked happy. Normal. I tear it out, set it on the table, and stare at it with a numb expression. When my phone buzzes again, I muster the nerve to answer. It's my daughter. Her voice is shaky. Dad? Where are you? Somewhere, I say. My throat hurts. You okay? A small silence. Then a sniffle. She said you told her to leave. Now she's at Grandma's. Are you leaving me too? No, I say quickly, though I have no idea what the plan is. I just need time, sweetie. She exhales, sounding older than her years. I knew something was wrong, Dad. I tried to tell her to stop, but she wouldn't listen. She said, it wasn't my business. A hot spike of anger. You shouldn't have been involved. I say, but not unkindly. I'm sorry you had to see any of this. Her voice quivers. I want to be with you. I don't want to stay with her. My chest tightens. Let me figure something out. I rub my forehead. I'll call you back soon. I hang up. The monstrous swirl of conflicting emotions surges up again. It's not just betrayal. There's the guilt of leaving my daughter in the crossfire. The longing for a life that doesn't exist anymore. The physical pain in my body that keeps flaring. Part of me wants to drive to Theodore's place, find him, and break every tooth in his skull. The old me, the serious, methodical man, never would have entertained that thought. Now that old me is gone. The motel's cheap breakfast tray is filled with stale donuts and watery coffee. I force some down, rummaging in my jacket pocket for painkillers. My hands ache from clenching fists all night. Every muscle is sore, like I was in a fistfight in my sleep. Maybe in a way I was. I decide I can't hide here forever. Catherine has my daughter. no matter where she's physically staying. I want to see my child, claim my fatherly right to protect her. And that means going home, facing Catherine. Maybe we start the divorce. Maybe we burn everything down. I can't see the future, just a dark hole where my marriage used to be. When I get back to the house, the air tastes stale, like betrayal has soaked into the walls. The first thing I notice is the note and the package are gone. The second thing I notice is Catherine's suitcase in the foyer. She's kneeling next to our daughter, rummaging through a stack of folded clothes, carefully placing them in a bag. She looks up, sees me, and her breath catches. "Hey," she says softly. I nod, stepping in. My daughter straightens, tries to look composed, but I see the puffiness around her eyes. She offers me a quivering smile. "Dad." I raise a hand in greeting. My throat closes. I can't speak. Catherine picks up her suitcase, pressing her lips together. "We're leaving," she says, voice hollow. "You said you wanted us out." I look at my daughter. She's not meeting my eye. "Do you want to go with her?" I ask. Her gaze flicks to Catherine, then to me. The tension is suffocating. "I don't want to choose," she whispers. I feel something crack inside my ribcage. "You shouldn't have to," I say. But that's not how life works now, is it? When marriage fractures, everyone has to choose a side. Catherine's face crumples. "We need some space, James. I've made mistakes, terrible mistakes, but we can't tear our daughter in half." I swallow hard. My fists tremble at my sides. I want to scream at her that she tore our daughter in half the moment she let Theodore into her bed. But the look on my child's face stops me. Instead, I release a sharp breath. "Fine. Then go." My voice is so low and cold I hardly recognize it. "I'll figure out everything else. The finances, the legal side, all of it." Catherine's tears slip out. She lifts the suitcase, nods to our daughter, and they move to the door. My daughter hesitates. She looks back, eyes swimming with an apology. I manage a tight nod. Then they're gone, the door closing softly behind them. The hollow feeling expands in my chest. For a moment, I think I'll collapse on the floor, but somehow, I remain standing. The echo of their footsteps outside fades, and I'm alone. The next weeks unfold in a blur of sleepless nights and cold mornings on the living room floor. I can't bring myself to sleep in the bed I shared with Catherine. Instead, I sprawl on an old mattress near the TV, or sometimes just on a pile of blankets. The only thing I'm consistent about is going to work, trying to keep the routine. My colleagues notice a change. I'm quieter. My suits are wrinkled, my expression haunted. But nobody says anything. Corporate courtesy, I guess. I start a journal. Not for words. Words fail me. I use it for black scribbles. Each page a swirl of darkness, like I'm trying to expel everything I feel onto the paper. Each stroke feels like spitting in my own face, but I do it anyway. Physical therapy for the soul, in a twisted way. Over time, I decide I'm going to forget. First, her name. Catherine, or Kathy, as I used to call her in tender moments. Then my daughter's name, piece by piece, because the memory cuts too deep. And eventually I'll forget my own name, so the pain stops entirely. That's my plan, half crazy as it sounds. Just blot everything out in black. But I'm not as numb as I pretend. One night, about a month after the suitcase scene, I pick up my phone and open the gallery. Old pictures of Catherine, me, our girl. Trips, birthdays, silly selfies. My jaw tenses. I see Catherine in a sunlit cafe, holding my hand. Then Catherine on a boat, wind in her hair, smiling that perfect smile. My vision blurs with tears I refuse to let fall. I find myself scanning the photos, searching for any clue I missed, any sign of a hidden life. Did her eyes shift? Did her smile falter? They all look normal, though. That's the worst part. Then I check my texts, and a voice inside me says, "Don't do it." But I do it anyway. I scroll up. There's a saved attachment of a screenshot she once sent me by accident. A half conversation with Theodore. She tried to pass it off as a joke between coworkers, but it was oddly intimate. Phrases like missing your arms and wish you were here. My blood runs cold. I remember, after she realized her mistake, she demanded I delete it. I said I did, but apparently I forgot. Or maybe part of me wanted to keep it as evidence. I stare at it, heart pounding, a red haze tinting my vision. Then I exhale, set the phone down. There's an idea forming in my mind. Dark, vengeful. I push it away. I'm not that kind of man. Or at least I never used to be. Eventually, the divorce papers come. I sign them with a stiff hand, each stroke of the pen feeling like a physical blow. Catherine tries to talk to me, to explain, to salvage some shred of friendship. But I dodge her calls. My daughter's calls I do answer, but it's tense. She wants me to come see her new place, but I can't stomach being near Catherine. I say I'm busy, and each time, I feel like the world's worst father. My back pain flares daily, a persistent reminder that I can't outrun this agony. Then one evening I get a text from my daughter. Dad, I'm sorry. Mom is with him. They're going out. She says I shouldn't worry, but I do. I stare at the text for a long time. My vision pulses with anger. The final chord snaps in me. I open my laptop. My hands move fast, furious. I piece together everything I have. Old photos, screenshots of messages, even a short video of Catherine in a moment of joy, holding Theodore's hand in front of some bar's neon sign. My daughter must have caught it on her phone. All the illusions I can find that lay out the truth. Catherine's affair, the timeline, the hush-hush meetups, the sweet nothings. I gather them into a single folder, my heart hammering so loudly I can't think. I create a private livestream link. It's not fancy, but it'll let me share these images and videos in real time with anyone who tunes in. A few clicks, and I invite everyone in my contacts. Family, coworkers, neighbors. All at once, my chest feels like it's on fire. Rage, betrayal, heartbreak, fueling a savage momentum. This is madness. But I don't stop. When I go live, I don't show my face. I just click through the files, one by one, letting them fill the screen. An old wedding photo, me and Catherine on our wedding day. Then a screenshot of a steamy text exchange between her and Theodore, time-stamped months before I found that note. Then a short clip, Catherine's laugh, high and carefree, while Theodore's voice calls her my tiger. My stomach twists at the memory of that word on Sarah's note. My eyes burn with unshed tears. I can see the number of viewers climbing. Names appear, blinking, in the participants list. My brother, my parents, colleagues from the finance firm, even my neighbor from down the street. Then more, people who have no business watching my private life. But they're curious. The chat is a flurry of confusion and shock. They see everything. No illusions now. Catherine calls me, her name flashing on the phone. I ignore it. She calls again. I sense her panic across the city. The text messages pop up on the screen. What the hell are you doing? James, pick up. Stop. But I don't. I let the stream keep rolling, each damning image a new blow. I feel my heart pounding so fiercely, I might black out. My mind screams that this is a betrayal of my own dignity. But I'm past caring. In some twisted sense, it's not revenge. It's an unveiling, a final exorcism of the lies. The footage ends. I sit there in silence, letting the screen show a final photograph. Catherine and me, smiling beside Niagara Falls. Then the stream closes. My phone lights up with dozens of missed calls, frantic texts from her, from my daughter, from everyone. I run a shaky hand across my face. My eyes sting. My body trembles violently. I can't do more. I slump to the floor, pressing my back against the couch. Every muscle throbs. But there's a hollowness inside me, like I expected some catharsis but feel only numb. My phone buzzes constantly. Catherine's name, my daughter's name. I let them ring. The frantic sound is muffled by the rush of blood in my ears. I don't speak. I don't shout or wave a victory flag, because this isn't a triumph. It feels more like painting a self-portrait with all the shattered pieces of my marriage. She lied, I got my cruel justice, and nothing about it feels good. But I couldn't stop myself. The phone's buzzing stops eventually, leaving a deafening quiet. I exhale, leaning my head back against the couch. My body hurts worse than ever, like I've been run over. My chest is tight, but my mind is strangely still. I shut my eyes. Sometime later, I realize I'm crying. My face is wet. The sobs echo in the empty house, and there's a single question reverberating in my skull. Did she ever love me at all? I wake on the floor again, hours later, stiff and disoriented. It's dark out. The lamp in the corner flickers, painting the walls with irregular shadows. The memory of what I did slams me. My phone is dark and silent now. I stare at it. A twisted part of me wonders if Catherine's phone battery died from calling me so much. I press my palms to my eyes, groaning softly from the pain in my neck. The final chapter is here. The divorce is certain. Everyone knows the story. My parents have probably left me voicemails dripping with worry or disapproval. My coworkers will avoid me. My daughter, she'll be crushed if she saw that stream. Anger at Catherine flares again, but it's just a tiny flicker now, overshadowed by exhaustion. The quiet is unbearable. I switch on a lamp. The sudden brightness makes me squint. My journal rests on the coffee table, page after page of black scribbles, meaningless in their chaos. I flip through them, noticing how each entry got darker, heavier. As if I was burying myself in ink, I pick up a pen. I stare at a blank page. For a moment, I consider writing words. An apology to my daughter. A condemnation of Catherine. A reflection on everything I've lost. But I can't form the sentences. So I make one black slash on the paper, an uneven, jagged line. Then another, crossing it. Another. Another. The pen tears the page. It's not enough to release the tension. I toss the journal aside and drag myself to stand, my back flaring in protest. My body's telling me to rest, but I can't. I open the fridge, take a swig of water from the jug, the cold stinging my raw throat. Then I limp to the bathroom, flicking on the light. The mirror reveals a man with sunken cheeks, patchy stubble, and eyes that have seen too much. The overhead bulb buzzes, and my reflection flickers in the glass, like I'm barely real. Out of habit, I open the medicine cabinet. Painkillers, half a bottle left. I wonder if I'm about to drown myself in them. But no, I don't want that. There's a spark of life still inside me, refusing to let the story end this way. So I take two, just enough to take the edge off. Then I stare at myself. Slowly, I let the tears roll down again, silent, unstoppable. I remember Catherine telling me about her first time with that unknown boy, how she said it was good, but not as good as what we had. And I believed her. And now she's found someone else she can share that with. The memory scalds me. I realize I'm alone in the house I once called a home, a place that's practically a coffin filled with ghosts of happiness. My breath hitches, and I push away from the sink, leaving the bathroom behind. Back in the living room, the laptop sits where I left it. I consider slamming it shut or smashing it. But it's not the laptop's fault, it's mine. I orchestrated that horrific display. For a second, I wonder if Catherine is with Theodore now, sobbing into his shoulder, or if she's alone in some hotel, cursing my name. The image sends a stab of regret, guilt, and a strange satisfaction. I'm not proud, but I can't deny it. I sink onto the couch, press my forehead to my knees. My phone rests on the table dark. In the hush, I can almost hear my own heartbeat. When a single text arrives, the vibration jolts me. Hesitant, I pick it up. It's from my daughter. Dad, can I see you tomorrow? Please. I exhale. My shoulders slump with relief. She's not cursing me. She's not disowning me for humiliating her mother. She just wants her father. I type back. Yes, tell me where. Her reply is quick. Can you pick me up after school? I nod to the empty air. Yes. Then I realize she can't hear me. I text it back. My fingers tremble, but for a moment, there's a pinpoint of light in the darkness. The next day, I stand outside her school, leaning against my sedan. My back pain flares under the midday sun, but I ignore it. Students trickle out. A few wave at me in recognition. Then she appears, hugging her books tight to her chest. Her gaze flicks over me. Wrinkled shirt, unshaven face, shadowed eyes. Her expression softens. Dad, she says quietly. I straighten. Hey, kiddo. We drive in silence for a while, the tension thick. I sense she wants to ask about the stream, about everything. I wait, giving her space. Finally, she speaks. She's really upset. Mom, I heard her yelling at Theodore on the phone. She blames him for sending that package to the house. She says everything got worse after that. I keep my eyes on the road. A bitter laugh forms in my throat, but I swallow it. Everything was already worse. She nods, tears in her voice. Are you two ever going to? She hesitates, glancing at me. Could you forgive her? The question slices me open. My hands tighten on the wheel, old rage flickering. I don't know, I say. Maybe, but not today. She looks out the window, wiping her cheeks. She was wrong, she murmurs. But I don't want you to hate each other forever. I don't respond, because I can't promise her that. We drive another mile before I pull into the driveway of our old house. She looks at me, uncertain. We going inside? Only if you want to. I've been sleeping on the floor, I say, forcing a tired grin. I can show you my fancy new arrangement. She smiles a little, but her eyes remain sad. We get out. Inside, she sees the half-packed boxes, the messy living room, and a journal on the coffee table with pages torn and scribbled in black. She picks it up, flips through, a mild tremor in her hands. Dad, what is this? Me, I say bluntly, my voice rasping. What's left of me, anyway? She sets it down gently. I'm sorry, she whispers. I didn't know how to stop her. I tried to talk to her about you. About us. My chest tightens with guilt for how alone she must have felt. I'm the one who's sorry. I manage, swallowing hard. You shouldn't have had to deal with her affair. Or my meltdown. She shakes her head. I wish we could go back. I wish that too. But there's no going back. We share a look of raw honesty. Father and daughter, both scared. Then I wrap my arms around her, gently, mindful of the tension in my back. She hugs me tight, and it's the first moment in weeks where I feel human. We spend a few hours cleaning the house, reorganizing. She helps me discard some of Catherine's old magazines and clothes. It's painful, but it feels like forward movement. A few times, my daughter's phone buzzes. Catherine, presumably. She ignores it. Maybe that's not fair, but I don't object. I can't handle another confrontation right now. As evening approaches, I cook a simple dinner, pasta with jarred sauce. We eat on the couch. It tastes bland, but she smiles politely. It feels almost normal, except for the tightness in my chest. Dad, she says quietly after the last bite, are we gonna be okay? I close my eyes, feel the weight of everything. I think about the stream I broadcast, about Catherine's tears, Theodore's smirk in those photos, the endless nights ahead. Then I force a nod, meeting her gaze. Yeah, I say, we'll be okay. It'll take time, but I promise we'll figure it out. She clings to that promise like a lifeline. And so do I. Days turn into weeks. The divorce is finalized. The dust settles. Catherine and I barely speak, except about logistics regarding our daughter. She's staying mostly with me now, though Catherine has visitation. My daughter told me Catherine apologized for everything. She also said Theodore is out of the picture, or so Catherine claims. I can't bring myself to care. The white-hot rage has cooled into a quiet bruise in my chest. At night, I sometimes dream of Catherine's first sexual experience, the one she told me about so long ago. I imagine her in that dorm room, laughter and moans echoing. Then the image warps into her and Theodore, sweaty limbs, and whispered confessions. I jerk awake every time, heart pounding, pain radiating down my spine. I keep scribbling in the journal, but the pages aren't quite as black anymore. There's some white space, some hesitant lines that might be shapes or landscapes. I'm not sure yet. I just know that I'm changing, day by day. The old me is gone, replaced by someone a little more broken, a little more cynical, but also more alive in a raw, painful way. One evening, I scroll through social media and see some old acquaintances from the finance firm whispering about me, posting vague references to that insane broadcast. I close the page, a sour taste in my mouth. I wonder if I did the right thing. It felt right in my rage, but now it feels like a brand on my reputation. People know me as the man who publicly exposed his cheating wife. Some call it justified. Others call it cruel. Everyone has an opinion. I head outside to the small backyard. The moon is bright, washing the grass in pale light. I breathe in the cool air, letting it calm my racing heart. The ache in my back eases a fraction, as if my body is finally exhaling months of tension. And in that moment, I realize I'm not sorry about what I did. I might feel uneasy about it, but not sorry, because it was my truth. I was drowning in her lies, and I needed to tear away the facade. People can judge me how they want. I'm free now, in a bleak sense, and that might be enough. Time passes. I find a new normal. I see my daughter regularly. She stays in our old house half the week. Catherine tries to maintain some contact with her, but my daughter's anger hasn't softened yet. She's polite, but distant. Sometimes I hear them talking on the phone, and I catch fragments of Catherine's apologies. I keep to myself, letting them navigate their own relationship. One afternoon, I'm in my home office, sorting through old bills. The window's open, letting in a slice of sunlight. My phone vibrates. I check the message. It's from Catherine. She wants to talk. I hesitate, my stomach twisting. Then I text back. Fine. Come by. When she arrives, she stands in the doorway, the tension thick between us. She's dressed more casually than usual, hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looks tired, her eyes rimmed in shadows. I wave her inside. We stand in the living room, the same place where I first confronted her about that package. She doesn't sit. Neither do I. The sunlight through the window catches dust motes in the air, making everything look surreal. James, she begins, voice trembling. I need to say I'm sorry. I fold my arms. You've said that before. My daughter told me. She nods, swallowing. I know. I never wanted to hurt you. I messed up, in the worst way possible, and I lied. I accept that there are consequences. But our daughter, she's so distant with me now. I'm worried. I clamp down on the flare of anger. That's between you and her. I'm not telling her to avoid you. She nods. I know. It's just, everything's ruined. I look at her. And whose fault is that? She wipes a tear away. Mine. All mine. She manages to meet my gaze. I'm not with him anymore. Theodore was. It was a mistake, an escape from problems I refused to face. You. She stops, voice cracking. I grit my teeth. Part of me wants to shout that she had no right. Part of me just feels exhausted. You hurt me, I say finally, my voice raw. In ways you'll never understand. You destroyed my sense of security, my trust. I can't just snap my fingers and forgive. I might never be able to. Her tears flow freely now. The light from the window highlights them, like tiny crystals on her cheeks. "I know," she whispers. "I just want to do better for our daughter. For the rest of our lives. Even if we aren't together." I exhale a shaky breath, feeling that familiar ache in my muscles. But I hold myself upright. "Then do better," I say. "Don't talk about it. Prove it." She nods, face wet with tears. "I will." I open the door for her. She steps out. Before she leaves, she turns back. "James, I did love you. I still do in some way. I'm sorry if that's too little, too late." I can't respond, so I nod. She looks at me one last time, then goes. The door clicks shut behind her. For a moment, I stand in place, letting the hush settle again. Weeks later, I'm in bed. My real bed, not the floor, and I sleep fitfully. My phone vibrates in the dark. 3 a.m. I squint. It's a text from Catherine. "Thank you for letting me see her today. Good night." She's clearly trying to build a civil relationship. I turn off the screen, roll onto my side. My back hurts less these days. The nightmares are less frequent. Sometimes I catch myself thinking of Catherine without rage. Just a dull ache, like a bruise on my heart that's slowly healing. When morning comes, I rise, shower, fix coffee. My reflection in the bathroom mirror is still changed. Lines etched deeper, hair more streaked with gray. But there's a resoluteness there. I'm alive, and I survived the worst betrayal I can imagine. That has to count for something. I rummage for a clean shirt, ignoring the half-empty closet. Catherine's not here, and the absence is almost comforting now. The house is simpler, quieter, no illusions. If loneliness claws at me, it's better than a lie. I remind myself of that. My phone lights up with a reminder about a doctor's appointment. I remember I scheduled it months ago, back when the pain in my body was at its peak. I consider canceling, but decide I should go. I'm tired of ignoring my own health. Maybe that's part of my new start. Taking care of myself first. The doctor's office is sterile, bright. She asks questions about my stress levels, my back pain, my sleep. I skim over the details of my recent life. Just enough that she gets the picture of marital stress. She nods sympathetically, prescribes some physical therapy sessions, suggests counseling. I say I'll think about it. On the way out, I catch my reflection in the glass doors. The overhead lights glare on the polished floor, creating a dual image of myself, mirrored at my feet. The old me and the new me, side by side. I walk forward, and the reflection merges into one. I exhale. Over the following months, I start to rebuild. I find a therapist who specializes in divorce and betrayal trauma. I attend a few sessions, sometimes with my daughter. She opens up about the betrayal she felt from her mother, the confusion about my rage. We talk, slowly, forging a path forward. It's not easy, but I see glimpses of hope in her eyes. Catherine tries to connect as well. Sometimes she messages me, updates about our daughter, or polite questions about scheduling. Her tone is careful, apologetic. I keep my answers neutral. I don't want war anymore, but I can't slip back into trust. That part of me is barricaded. One evening, I'm sitting at the kitchen table. The house is quiet. My daughter is with Catherine for the weekend. I glance at the suitcase in the corner, still half-packed with my old resentments. I should probably get rid of it. As I stand, my phone chimes with a notification. An old coworker posted a video link. Someone in our circle of acquaintances is discussing betrayal and forgiveness on a public forum. For a moment, I panic, wondering if it's about me. I open it, and it's just a motivational speaker giving cliches. I close it, shaking my head. I gather the last remnants of Catherine's possessions, some old letters, a few sweaters, a pair of shoes. I stuff them in a box. Then I pause at a framed photo from our wedding day, buried under a pile of magazines. I trace the edges of the frame. We looked so young, so hopeful. A pang of nostalgia hits me. I carry the box to the closet. I hesitate, then push it onto a shelf. Not ready to trash it, not ready to keep it, just letting it exist in the background, out of sight. Maybe that's what closure looks like right now. I return to the kitchen, flip off the light. The living room lamp is the only glow left, casting a soft amber pool on the floor. I stand in it, feeling the ache in my back, the tension in my shoulders. But there's a resolve inside me that wasn't there before. I survived. And now, the next chapter begins, whatever it holds. I might never forget how she shattered my trust. The fear of another betrayal might always linger. But I'm alive, and my daughter still needs me. That's enough to keep going. And maybe, one day, the name Catherine won't feel like a knife twisting in my gut. Maybe I'll look at the old photos without bitterness. Maybe I'll find my own peace. But right now, in the hush of this old house, I let myself feel the raw wave of relief that it's over. The lies, the illusions, the humiliations. I did what I had to do. I exposed it all, even if it cost me my reputation and half my soul. I hold on to the hope that, in time, I'll find a way to mend. For tonight, that hope is enough.